Time to pull up a chair. We've got another great story for you today in the rLounge. Weddings and wallets. Two places where red flags love to wave the hardest. Whether it's a mother-in-law who thinks your dream dress is too nightclub chic and decides to take a pair of fabric scissors to it, or a fiance who believes your teenager survivor's benefits should cover his half of the bills. Today in the rLounge, one thing's clear. When people show you their true colors, they don't come in pastels. Up first, when you always knew your future mother-in-law had sharp opinions, but didn't realize she'd bring scissors into the mix. Mother-in-law stole my wedding dress to make it modest, so I wore the backup and threw hers into the pool. My fiancé proposed after 3 years together. I said yes without hesitation. His mother's congratulatory hug felt a bit stiff, and she immediately started dropping hints about tasteful wedding planning. The first red flag appeared during our initial wedding planning meeting with my future mother-in-law. While discussing venues and dates, she kept making these little comments about how some brides these days dress like they're going to a nightclub. When I went dress shopping with my mom and sister, I found the dress almost immediately. It was a gorgeous backless gown with a plunging neckline. Sexy, but elegant. The kind of dress that makes you feel like a goddess. It cost $3,200, which is more than I'd planned to spend, but the moment I tried it on, I knew it was worth every penny. I put down the deposit and scheduled my fittings. The trouble started when I showed mother-in-law pictures of the dress. Her face went through about 5 different expressions before settling on pure horror. "That's practically lingerie," she said. "No daughter-in-law of mine will walk down the aisle looking like that." My fiancé told her to back off, but the damage was done. After that, mother-in-law started texting me links to modest wedding dresses daily. I stopped responding after the 15th one. Then she created a shared Pinterest board called Appropriate Bridal Attire and added me to it. The dresses were all high-necked, long-sleeved monstrosities that looked like they belonged in the 1800s. Things escalated when mother-in-law called my mom to express concerns about the dress. My mom, who doesn't take crap from anyone, shut her down immediately. That night, my fiancé and I had a serious talk about boundaries with his mother. He promised to handle it, and for a while, things seemed to calm down. At my second fitting, the dress was coming along perfectly. The seamstress casually mentioned that I might want to consider having a backup option just in case. She told me about a bride whose dress was damaged right before the ceremony. That decision would end up saving my wedding. A few weeks later, mother-in-law invited me to lunch. She was suspiciously nice the whole time, kept asking me about where my dress was being stored. I was vague, just saying it was at the salon until the final alterations were done. Something about her interest made me uneasy. After my final fitting, the dress was absolute perfection. Since my sister lived closer to the venue, I arranged to keep it at her place until the wedding. Mother-in-law had been oddly quiet about the dress lately, which made me more nervous than her previous badgering. When wedding week arrived, mother-in-law suddenly became super helpful, offering to pick up items and run errands. I was suspicious, but my fiancé said she was just excited about the wedding. I wanted to believe him. 2 days before the wedding, my sister called me in a panic. The dress was gone from her apartment. There were no signs of a break-in. The only people with access were my sister, her roommate, and mother-in-law, who had stopped by to drop off a wedding gift. The day before, I immediately knew what had happened. I called mother-in-law right away. She denied everything at first, then admitted she had rescued my dress to make some necessary modifications. She said she was having a seamstress friend add fabric to make it decent. I told her to return it immediately. The next day, mother-in-law showed up with my dress, completely butchered. She'd added a high neckline, filled in the back, and attached lace sleeves. It looked like a completely different dress, like something from the 1980s Mormon wedding, and she was beaming with pride. After I pulled myself together, I called the designer of my backup dress in hysterics. They still had the runner-up and could rush the final alterations overnight. The backup was even better than my original, the perfect revenge dress. On my wedding day, I got ready with my bridesmaids, keeping the backup dress secret. Mother-in-law came to check if I was wearing her improved version. I told her it was in a garment bag and she couldn't see until the ceremony. Tradition. Walking down the aisle in my stunning backup dress, I heard audible gasps. Mother-in-law's face turned purple with rage. My fiancé's jaw dropped, in the good way. The ceremony was beautiful despite mother-in-law's obvious distress. During the reception, mother-in-law cornered me, demanding to know where her version of the dress was. I told her it was safe and walked away. She started making a scene, telling guests I was disrespectful and dressed like a harlot. After several drinks and mother-in-law's nonstop digs, I finally snapped. I went and grabbed a garment bag with what used to be my wedding dress. her butchered monstrosity, and marched straight over to the pool at the venue. Without saying a word, I hurled the entire thing into the water while everyone watched. Then I turned to the crowd and said loud enough for the whole place to hear, "That's what happens when you steal and destroy a $3,200 dress." The crowd went wild. People were cheering, clapping, and even laughing. Meanwhile, mother-in-law was shrieking like a banshee. Honestly, best moment of the night. Mother-in-law left in tears with father-in-law. The party continued and turned into the best night ever. My new husband apologized for his mother and promised she'd pay for the original dress. Update. It's been about a month since my original post blew up. We returned from our honeymoon to find mother-in-law had been busy. She'd been trash-talking me to the entire family. My husband was furious. He called his mother and demanded she apologize and pay for the dress she destroyed. Her response? "I improved that trashy dress. If anything, she should be paying me for the alterations." A week later, mother-in-law showed up at our apartment unannounced. My husband was at work, so I was alone. She demanded an apology for the pool incident, saying I had embarrassed her in front of everyone she knows. I laughed in her face. Then I showed her something she didn't know existed. Security camera footage from my sister's apartment that clearly showed her stealing the dress. The look on her face was priceless. She went from righteous anger to deer in headlights in 2 seconds flat. I told her if she didn't pay for the dress by the end of the week, I'd post the video online for everyone to see. The deadline came and went. No check, no apology, not even a text. So I did exactly what I promised. I posted the security footage on social media and tagged all the family members who'd taken her side. My caption was simple, in case anyone was wondering who the real villain was at my wedding. The video went viral in our social circle within hours. Mother-in-law's phone was apparently blowing up with calls and messages. Father-in-law called, begging me to take the video down. I refused unless she paid for the dress and publicly apologized. He said she was too upset to talk about it right now. I told him that was fine. The video would stay up until she was ready. 3 days later, a check for exactly $3,200 arrived in the mail with a note saying, "I hope you're happy ruining this family." I framed the note next to my favorite wedding photo where I'm wearing the backup dress. It's now hanging in our living room. My husband has been completely supportive throughout all of this. Thanks for all the support, Reddit. I'll update again. Update 2. It's been a few months since my last update, and I figured you all deserve to know how this saga has continued to unfold. Thanks again for all the supportive messages. Thanksgiving was interesting. We declined mother-in-law's invitation, the one we responded to with the pool photo, and instead went to my husband's aunt's house. His extended family wanted to see us, and honestly we wanted to see them too, just not mother-in-law. Of course, mother-in-law showed up. Apparently she'd been uninvited, but came anyway. From the moment we arrived, she played the victim card hard. She kept sniffling dramatically when I was nearby and making comments about ungrateful children and disrespect. When she started telling her sob story during the dinner about how I'd humiliated her at the wedding, I was prepared. I pulled out a folder containing photos of the original dress, the butchered version, and all the receipts. I passed them around the table as she was mid-sentence in her pity party. The family finally saw the full picture, literally. Her sister, my husband's aunt, was especially horrified when she saw what had been done to my dress. Mother-in-law stormed out of Thanksgiving dinner. Most of the family agreed she had crossed a major line. We spent Christmas with my family. It was peaceful and joyful. No drama, no tension, just celebration. My husband mentioned it was the best holiday he'd had in years. For New Year's, we hosted a party at our place. Thanks for all the support, Reddit. I can't believe she actually stole your dress and butchered it like that. Having the backup dress was genius, and the pool moment, iconic. I would have paid money to see her face when you walked down the aisle in the new dress and then tossed her improved version in the water. I'm so glad your husband's been on your side through all of this, because that's exactly what you need. And posting the footage? Absolutely the right move. If she's going to play the victim, she can deal with people knowing the truth. What would you have done? Let us know in the comments. Up next, some people think a 15-year-old's bank account is fair game. Am I the a-hole for not wanting my boyfriend to factor my son's survivor benefits into our new household budget? My 38 female son, 15 male, receives $1,100 a month in Social Security survivor benefits from his late father, who passed away when my son was 5. My boyfriend, 40 male, and I have been in an on-again, off-again relationship for a long time. Things have been good recently, and he's proposed. We're planning on getting a house together. I have my son, and he has 3 children, but only one of his kids would be living with us full-time. The house we're looking at is $2,500 a month. My boyfriend's proposed budget is for him to pay $950, for me to pay $950, and for us to use $600 from my son's check for the household. He suggests we can then put the remaining $500 from the check into savings. My current practice is to give my son half of his check, $550 for his personal use, and save the other half for him. I think that since he's almost 17, he should have some control over his money. My boyfriend disagrees completely. He thinks that since we are going to be a family, all the money should be pooled together for shared expenses. He thinks I'm wrong and selfish for not wanting to include the survivor benefits in the main budget. We've been going back and forth for this, and I'm feeling incredibly uncomfortable with his expectation. I feel like the benefits are my son's and should not be used to reduce the adult's portion of the bills. It feels like he's trying to make me subsidize the household using money that was meant for my son's care and future, not to pay his own share of the bills. Am I wrong here? Is it selfish to keep my son's check separate and manage it for his benefit alone? Or is my boyfriend's financial expectation a red flag for our future together? Update. Following my original post, I ended the relationship with my ex over the weekend. The breakup escalated into a heated argument, with him repeatedly calling and threatening to go to my mother's and grandmother's homes to cause a scene. I had to call his mother to calm him down. This was the final straw for me. In the argument, I also discovered he is not paying child support for his minor child. Combined with his abusive and manipulative behavior, our engagement and plans to buy a house are off. For those who commented about the $500, my son is a very responsible young man whose college is already paid for. He has a car and a part-time job and saves significant portions of his spending money. The issue was never about the amount, but about my ex's manipulation regarding our finances to gain control. I'm now focused on my and my family's safety. I have blocked all contact and am documenting all threats in case legal action is needed. Thank you for your support. I'm choosing my well-being and finally feel a sense of relief and strength. That was absolutely the right call. Your instincts were spot on. Those benefits are for your son, not for reducing an adult's share of the bills. It's one thing to build a household budget together, but it's another to respect a teenager survivor benefits to subsidize grown adults' responsibilities. The fact that he pushed so hard on it, while also not paying child support for his own kid, says everything you need to know. That's not someone who's interested in building a family. What do you think? Share your thoughts with us in the comments. And thank you for joining us today in the rLounge. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Until next time. And please put your chair back where you found it.